The thing stalking me was right behind the truck when the headlights died, snuffed out as if someone pinched the electricity between two fingers. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I just stared into the pitch-black road at 3:27 a.m., clutching the crumpled instruction sheet I was told never to ignore. Something scraped its nails along the back door of the delivery van, slow, testing, like it was learning the shape of the metal. Rule 3 burned in my mind. Do not respond if it calls your name, no matter what voice it uses. But I could hear it shifting out there, breathing wrong, moving wrong, like something learning how to mimic a human walk but not quite getting the rhythm. Then it whispered, "No," croaked through the darkness. "Eli, open the door." My name, but spoken like someone reading it for the first time. My throat tightened. The rules said I had to make a decision quickly or it would escalate. I couldn't stay in the truck. Rule 7 forbade staying still for more than 30 seconds after a name call. I couldn't leave the truck. Rule 2 warned never to step outside unless the porch light was on. Except there was no porch. There was no house. There wasn't supposed to be anything on this dead road. But the address 54 Ashroot Lane kept appearing on my delivery scanner every night this week. The house didn't exist on any map. Everyone said the road ended in woods. Yet now, in the corner of the vanished headlight's darkness, a faint pale glow shimmered. A porch light, except it flickered like a candle underwater. 20 seconds left. The scratching stopped. I didn't like that. Silence was worse. It meant it was thinking. I shoved the van door open and sprinted toward the glowing shape. My boots hit cold mud, too cold, like winter frost in early autumn. The smell hit next, metallic rot mixed with wet wood. The kind of scent that made your brain whisper wrong before you understood why. The house materialized as I approached, as if stepping closer allowed it to exist. Wood beams stretched out of the dark, forming a crooked spine. Windows blinked into existence like eyes opening. The porch light buzzed above a warped doorway, casting everything in a sickly yellow dimness that pulsed like a heartbeat. Behind me, the thing in the dark laughed softly. Not a human laugh, not even close. I jumped onto the porch. The buzzing light flared bright, and for a split second I saw the rules clearly on the paper. All 8 of them. Except Rule 6. That one was a smear of black ink, like something had dragged a wet finger across it while the ink was still fresh. Somewhere behind the door, something shifted, heavy, anticipating. My delivery scanner beeped sharply, vibrating in my hand. Arrived, 54 Ashroot Lane, signature required. Ice sank through my spine. Signature? From who? The porch light flickered again, fast, frantic, then went dead. And whatever lived inside the house began to open it. The door opened only a few inches, but enough cold air spilled out that my breath turned white. The interior was black, so dark it felt like the absence of something vital. My fingers tightened around the package as a voice floated from inside, not the creature outside, not anything human either. "Deliverer, you are late." My pulse hammered. The scanner in my hand glowed 3:33 a.m. The voice knew the rules. I could feel it, like it wanted me to break one. The porch light stayed dead, which meant Rule 2 was clear. Do not hand the package to anything unless the porch light is on. I stepped back, heart thrashing. A long, pale hand slid through the gap in the door, too thin, with too many joints. Its fingers trembled as though excited. "Give it," whispered, voice crackling like a radio losing signal. "You came all this way." My mind raced. I couldn't give it the package. I couldn't step off the porch yet either. Rule 4 forbade turning your back to an open door. I needed answers, any answers. Then, for the first time since I got trapped in this nightmare, a memory shot across my mind, brief and jagged, like a flash of lightning. 2 weeks ago, I'd taken the night shift route because rent was late again and temp workers got bonuses for filling unpopular deliveries. The manager mentioned Ashroot Lane too casually. "If it shows up, treat it like any other stop," he'd said, not meeting my eyes. "And if you hear anything weird out there, just follow the instructions. Someone always does." Back in the present, the pale hand stopped moving. The darkness inside the house inhaled slow and steady. "You're wasting time," the voice muttered. "He's getting closer." I didn't want to know who he was. Then a soft shuffle behind me froze my spine. The creature that had stalked the truck was now standing at the bottom of the porch steps. I didn't need the porch light to see it. My eyes adjusted just enough to make out its silhouette. It was taller than before, and it was smiling. My fight-or-flight instinct slammed into the rules. I backed away from the open door, still facing it, trying not to breathe too loudly. My heel hit the top step, and I turned, a tiny, stupid reflex, just half a second, but it was enough. Because Rule 4 was explicit. Do not turn your back to the open door. The instant I did, the air behind me warped like hot breath on the back of my neck. The door creaked wider. The thing inside whispered, delighted, "First mistake." The air behind me bent inward as if the darkness itself leaned close to taste me. I spun back toward the house, but the door was no longer just open. It was wider than before. Too wide, like the frame had stretched to accommodate something big preparing to crawl out. A low, pleased sound rolled from inside. Not words, more like a purr made of teeth. The porch groaned beneath me. The boards flexed, breathing, almost pushing me subtly toward the doorway. Every instinct screamed to run, but Rule 5 hit like a hammer. If the house tries to pull you in, do not step through the threshold. Not even a toe. The creature at the bottom of the steps shifted its weight, cracking bones or something, pretending to be bones. It tilted its head as if waiting to enjoy the show. Something slid into view inside the doorframe. A hand, but not the thin, pale one from before. This one was mottled gray, swollen, nails cracked and curled. A different resident. Or a previous victim. The hand braced against the frame and a face leaned out, not fully human anymore. Skin rippled. One eye was clouded. Its jaw hung loose like it had forgotten how to hold itself together. "You shouldn't have looked away," it rasped. "None of us should have." My pulse spiked. "What are you talking about?" It blinked slowly, painfully. Rule breaking wakes him. He watches for the ones who slip. I whispered. Before it could answer, the creature at the steps hissed a sound like tearing cloth. The deformed figure jerked in terror and retreated, yanked back into the dark by unseen arms. The stretched doorway snapped shut with a thunderous slam. Silence. Then, faintly from behind the locked door, "Run!" The porch board shifted beneath my feet, tilting me forward. The house was trying again. E&D of Chapter 3. The porch ticked again, more forcefully, as if the house were tilting itself to spill me into its open mouth. I threw my weight backward, boots scraping across warped boards. The wood felt warm now, almost feverish. A rhythmic thumping echoed from inside the house. Not footsteps. Heartbeats. Too slow. Too loud. Whatever lived in there was awake. I leapt off the porch, landing in the wet mud below, just beyond the threshold. The air outside felt no safer. The creature that had stalked me earlier was nowhere in sight, which was worse. Branches creaked overhead, swaying even though the air was still. Leaves rustled in deliberate patterns, almost like whispering voices mimicking wind. I took a step toward the truck. That's when I saw the scratch marks, long, deep gouges carved into the road itself. Not the dirt, the asphalt, like something with enormous claws had crawled its way closer while I was on the porch. The trees ahead groaned in unison. Then something moved between their trunks, a tall, crooked silhouette, too thin, limbs bending at wrong angles. A head turning all the way around, slow and deliberate, until its face, or what used to be a face, fixed on me. Rule 1 punched through my brain. If you see it in the trees, do not blink. My eyes burned instantly. The silhouette twitched. Each stuttering motion brought it a few inches closer. The air smelled like mold and burned hair. A faint clicking sound came from its throat, growing faster as it sensed my strain. My vision blurred. My eyes screamed to close. I forced them open wider. The thing's movements sharpened faster now, its limbs unfolding like blades. I couldn't hold on. A single tear rolled down my cheek. Then I blinked. In that instant, the creature vanished, and a cold breath touched the back of my neck. Cold breath slid down the back of my neck, too slow, too deliberate. I didn't turn. Turning would break Rule 8. Rule 8, never turn toward a breath that isn't yours. Count to 5 and step forward. Only forward. I whispered the count under my breath. 1, 2, the breath deepened, as if pressing its mouth closer to my skin. 3, 4, the windless trees rustled violently, voices hissing inside the leaves. F5, I lunged forward. The breath ended instantly. But the moment my foot hit the ground, another rule crashed into me like ice water. Rule 3, do not respond if it calls your name. A voice, my mother's voice, echoed from the dark between the branches. Eli, baby, please help me. My entire body locked. 2 rules at once, a trap. If I obeyed Rule 8 by stepping forward, the voice would follow, coaxing, pleading, growing more desperate until my instincts broke. If I obeyed Rule 3 by staying silent and still, then I wasn't moving forward anymore. And Rule 7 forbade exactly that. Rule 7, if you stop moving after a name call, he finds you. He, the thing, the half-human creature warned me about, the one awakened by rule breaking. Leaves behind me shivered. Something big pushed between the trees, exhaling in low, shuddering growls. I didn't have seconds, I had heartbeats. The voice changed, my mother's tone melting into something raw and wrong. Eli, turn around! The air behind me warmed, then pulsed. My legs almost buckled. I whispered through clenched teeth, "You're not her." "I can be," the voice said. "Just look." Just look. I couldn't stop. Rule 7 would kill me. I couldn't answer. Rule 3 would kill me. I couldn't turn. Rule 8 would kill me, so I chose the only loophole left. Move. Silent. Forward. I shoved through the brush, breath tearing out of my lungs. The voice didn't fade. It followed, threading through the trees with impossible speed. The forest thinned. And then, suddenly, there it was again, the house. But shifted taller, leaning at a new angle, windows in different places. The door stood open as if waiting for me. A figure stood on the porch. Not the pale creature, not the warped victim. A man, or the shape of one. His shadow bent in the wrong direction. He lifted a hand. Eli, he called softly, you broke 2 rules tonight. Lightning cracked behind my ribs. He knew. The man-shaped figure on the porch didn't move, didn't breathe. His outline blurred at the edges, as if he were being drawn and erased at the same time. The porch light flickered back to life, not yellow this time, but a faint cold blue that painted his face in shifting shadows. Except he didn't have a face, just smooth skin where features should have been. You broke 2 rules, he repeated, voice calm, almost gentle. Too gentle. My chest tightened. I stepped backward, and the mud beneath my boots wriggled tiny movements like worms twisting just under the surface. He tilted his head. Don't step back. The ground likes you. I froze instantly. He wasn't threatening. He was stating a fact. The ground pulsed once under my soles. I forced myself forward instead. Who are you? The featureless face stretched, not into a smile, but something approximating one. A messenger, he said. A survivor. A warning. The blue porch light buzzed louder, throbbing with unnatural life. My eyes flicked to the rule sheet still clutched in my hand. Smudged. Rule 6 stared back at me, a long, black smear where words used to be, he noticed. You're looking for the hidden rule, he murmured. My skin prickled. You know what it said? He nodded. I knew. Past tense. The boards beneath his feet groaned, shrinking away from him like they feared touching him. Then tell me. No. The word wasn't angry. It was sorrowful. Like he'd been waiting forever for someone to ask. The smudged rule cannot be spoken aloud, he said. Not anymore. Not since he began listening for it. He? I whispered. The trees vibrated. Every branch trembled as if something massive scraped against them. The wind didn't blow, but the leaves shook anyway. A shadow moved behind the house. Tall, wide, wrong. The faceless man stepped down from the porch and the blue light dimmed instantly, as if afraid to shine on him. He is awake because of you, the man said gently. Reality here is thinning. You will feel it. What does that mean? He raised a trembling finger and pointed beside me. I turned, and my breath stopped. My delivery truck was here now, but it was rotting, collapsed, headlights melting like wax. Its engine ticked backward, the sound looping in reverse. Time was collapsing. He comes when the rules unravel, the man whispered, and you've already begun unraveling them. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The faceless man didn't follow, but his presence pressed on me like a weight. Behind the house, shadows writhed unnaturally. One of them pulled into itself and stretched, an elongated figure with a twisted grin. Then I saw her, a woman, or what had been a woman. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost translucent. Eyes wide, pupils dilated beyond human. She clutched her own legs, bent at impossible angles, rocking slowly. The rules, the instructions, they didn't protect her. They hadn't saved her. She was before you, the faceless man murmured. Another deliverer. Another who tried to follow all the rules. The woman's head snapped toward me, jaw cracking sideways in a sound like a door tearing from its hinges. Her lips moved, forming words that were almost human. You can't trust them. Who? I stammered, glancing at the man. The rules, they aren't protection. They're a test. Or a trap, he said, his smooth face tilted, expression impossible to read. I realized then the rules weren't for safety. They were bait, a lure. A low growl rolled through the yard. The shadows behind the house coalesced, forming a hulking silhouette. Not human, not animal, something ancient, something that existed in the space between. Its eyes burned faintly red like dying embers, scanning the perimeter with hunger. It feeds, the faceless man said quietly, almost reverently, on fear, on desperation, on broken rules. Each failure adds to it, strengthens it. Time flickered, seconds stretched, looped, and folded back. My watch spun backward. A leaf that fell from a tree hit the ground, then rose again. Reality was no longer stable. I clenched the rule sheet. Rule 6, the smudged rule, pressed in my memory. The faceless man glanced at it too, then looked away. That one, he whispered, was always the key. The one no one could see without paying the cost. The air smelled like burnt paper and wet soil. Every nerve in my body screamed that whatever waited in that darkness was waiting for me specifically. The woman's broken body twitched violently as she whispered again and again, "Why do you come here? Why do you come here? Why do you come here?" I shivered. This wasn't just a delivery. This wasn't just a haunted road. I was in a space between realities, and the rules weren't my savior. They were my sentence. The forest around me pulsed in unnatural rhythm. Shadows leapt where no light existed. Leaves whispered secrets I didn't want to hear. I could feel the space bending, thickening like reality itself had started to melt. The faceless man remained silent, his gaze fixed on the elongated shadow moving at the edge of my vision. The broken woman's muttering had become a chorus now, repeating endlessly, bouncing off invisible walls that shouldn't exist. "He is patient," the faceless man said, voice low, almost tender. "Time does not flow here as you know it. Minutes loop, hours stretch, days collapse. He waits for those who falter." I swallowed hard, gripping the rules. Rule 6, smudged and unreadable, burned in my mind like a secret tattooed on my skull. Every other rule was clear, but this one, I didn't even know if it was warning me or condemning me. The elongated shadow loomed closer. Its form wasn't fixed. Sometimes arms, sometimes wings, sometimes nothing at all. Its red eyes tracked me. I realized with a sick twist that it wasn't just watching me. It knew every fear, every hesitation. "You're too late for some," the faceless man murmured. "They stay here, trapped, transformed, proof that the rules aren't mercy. They're a framework for him to feed." The broken woman jerked violently, teeth gnashing against herself. I realized she was once another deliverer like me, another person who followed some rules, broke others, and ended up half alive, half consumed by whatever existed in the space beyond the house. I swallowed bile. "So, the rules, they weren't supposed to save us? They were meant to amuse him," he said, "to test the limits. Every hesitation, every glance, every misstep, it grows stronger. The smudge rule was the only one that could give you leverage." "The only one that told you how to fight back!" The shadow pulsed again. Its form shifted faster now. It wasn't advancing physically. It was twisting the world itself around me, folding space so that the house seemed to appear and disappear with every blink. I took a shaky step. My mind raced. The rules, the blue porch light, the shifting shadows, the distorted time. I was trapped in a labyrinth built from fear and obedience, where failing a rule didn't just cost a life. It fed a predator I couldn't fully see and maybe never would. A new voice whispered from the trees, a sound of my own heartbeat, slowed and distorted. "Break the rules, or die trying!" The world around me twisted like a fever dream. Trees stretched into the sky, then shrank. Shadows dripped upward. My breath came in uneven bursts as the elongated entity moved closer, though its feet never touched the ground. Time no longer ticked forward, it writhed. My watch flickered between 3:33 a.m., 12:01 a.m., then 9:58 p.m., looping faster each time. Every flicker sent a stabbing pain behind my eyes. "He is forcing the collapse," the faceless man warned, stepping back as if distance could save him. "When time breaks, all rules break with it," the broken woman screamed, though her voice echoed seconds before her mouth opened. A reverse scream, a loop, a warning. My sheet of rules trembled in my hand as if reacting to the entity's presence. Ink bled outward from the edges. Words distorted. The smudged rule warred against the stain, as if something beneath wanted to be revealed. The elongated entity whispered, "Eli, Jews." Its voice came from above, below, and behind my ribs all at once. The rules glowed faintly, every single one strained, testing me, breaking, bending. Rule 1, don't blink, already broken. Rule 3, don't answer if it calls your name. I'd almost failed. Rule 4, never turn your back to the open door. Broken. Rule 7, don't stop moving when called, barely held. Each violation was fuel for it. I could feel its hunger, its swelling power, like it fed on the friction between fear and obedience. I looked down at the smudged rule. Ink had dissolved into gray mist, revealing not letters but moving symbols, twisting like something alive. The faceless man recoiled. "No, don't read it, not now, he'll hear." But it was too late. The symbols rearranged into 3 unmistakable words. "The door is you." My breath stopped. My heartbeat stuttered. The elongated entity straightened, red embers for eyes widening, pleased. "You understand now," it whispered. The faceless man backed away, trembling. "He chose you," he said. He always chooses one. The rules, they were never instructions. They were preparation. The shadows convulsed, the house warped, time knotted around me. The smudge rule pulsed hot in my hand like a heartbeat, not my own. A final message bled across the page in fresh ink. "Open yourself or it will open you." The deadline hit me then, my watch freezing on 3:33 a.m., the exact moment everything had begun. Time stopped, and the entity stepped forward. The entity filled the space around me. Not just the air, not just the forest, not just the twisted house, but me. Every nerve, every thought, every heartbeat, its hunger pressed like a physical weight. Its eyes, burning red coals, tracked me in every direction at once. There was no escape. Time had fractured into splinters, each second stretching and snapping back, dragging me with it. I held the rule sheet in trembling hands. The smudged rule had finally revealed itself. The door is you. Open yourself or it will open you. My mind shivered. It wasn't a delivery. It was an initiation. The house, the rules, everything was a test of what I was willing to become. A flicker of understanding hit me. The previous deliverers, the broken woman, the deformed figures, they hadn't failed because they didn't follow the rules. They failed because they didn't see themselves as the doorway. The entity didn't just feed on fear. It fed on surrender, on hesitation, on broken will. It waited for the final conscious act. I swallowed hard. I could feel its presence probing, tasting for weakness. The faceless man whispered behind me, "You can't fight it with fear, only with knowledge, only with control." I forced my legs forward, stepping into the warped space of the house without looking at it. The board shifted underfoot, rising like waves. The walls stretched, contracting, pulling me inward. My heartbeat echoed like a drum in my ears. I remembered every rule, every violation, every almost mistake. I breathed slowly, focusing. Not on fear, not on the shadows, not on time, on myself. Then I understood the loophole. If the door was me, and it only opened through surrender, then I had to offer myself willingly, but on my terms. I lifted the package, held it in front of me like a shield and a symbol. Not to deliver to it, but to deliver through it. "I am the door," I whispered, "and I decide who passes." The entity recoiled. The shadows twisted violently. The house shivered like a beast in pain. For the first time, it hesitated. Time stuttered, then slowed. The broken woman's chant reversed, easing. The faceless man's blurred form solidified momentarily. I stepped fully into the threshold, closing my eyes. The entity surged forward, but I met it not with fear, but with clarity. I imagined the door opening inward, my own mind shaping the space. The red eyes slammed into a wall of comprehension. I am not prey. I am gateway. The pressure cracked. The shadows shrieked. Then silence. The house flattened, collapsing into the road. The trees straightened. Time realigned. I opened my eyes. The forest was normal, the road quiet. My truck sat where it should. Dawn brushed faint pink across the horizon. No house, no entity, nothing but ordinary air and the heavy pulse of memory. But I was not the same. My hand shook. My eyes lingered on the empty space where the house had stood. I knew deep in my chest that something had followed me, not physically, but in the memory of myself as the door. A part of the entity remained, waiting for the next time someone walked the route unaware. I checked the rule sheet. The smudged line was blank once more, but I could still feel it, like an echo in the blood. The other rules were gone, faded as if they had been consumed. The test was over. I survived, but the knowledge remained. And when the wind stirred, carrying a faint whisper through the trees, I realized the door had not closed. It was merely waiting for the next knock.